All right. Sean says, to build on my question above, I've been growing my caseload slowly. A colleague is interested in joining my practice as a 1099 in Pennsylvania. Cannot expect her to be as patient as me growing her caseload. What's the fastest way to generate leads for her in a new office? So I would say one thing to think about when you bring someone into your practice, especially as a 1099, a contractor is just that. They're being contracted for work, meaning that they are their own independent person within your business. It's a business within the business. And so a lot of these people will come into your business and say, I just want to come see clients. I don't want to do any work at all. Just send me clients. Now, you may be at the point where you have so many referrals that you can do that. But what I would much rather see you do is to say, my goal is that mental wellness counseling is the premier place to refer to in Traverse City for counseling. That people naturally want to refer, that are branding, that being on the radio, writing for the local paper, being interviewed on news, all those things I'm doing to build the brand, help the brand stand out when people think of counseling services. Now, your goal is for the community to know that you work here, that you're seeing clients here. And so that can't happen just through me. Like, of course, I'm going to promote you. If someone says, hey, who's a great addictions counselor? I'm going to say Steve, because he's awesome. And I'll tell you about Steve. But Steve needs to be out there meeting attorneys, because attorneys aren't going to refer to Joe Stanek in the practice. They're going to refer to the actual clinician they want to work with. And so you've got to be out there and promoting yourself, shaking hands, creating content for our website, being active on social media. So before I ever sign someone, I'm saying, listen, we have to work together on this. This isn't just me bringing you clients. This isn't just you bringing you clients. This is a collaboration together. Also, there's a lot of things that you can do as a business owner that are going to really just help grow that. So for example, whenever someone signs their contract, I take their picture. I take a short video of them signing the contract and smiling. We put that on social media. We tag them on it. Then they tag, their family and friends, and they share it. And people are like, oh my gosh, like Nicole's joining the practice. She's so good. Mom chimes in and says, ever since she was 10, she listened to her friends. And it's so good that she's finally doing this. So then people start to know. I also encourage people to have business cards printed well ahead of their start date. So even if they're, say, pre-licensed and they're waiting on their license, or they have to kind of change some things and they can't start till June 1st, to have cards printed now scheduling for June 2019 and has their phone number on the back, so then they can be out there networking, meeting people. They're most excited about joining the practice as they're joining the practice. When they start to see that they don't have as many clients, that's when they're going to be less active. So that first kind of 6 months is when people tend to hustle the most. And so you really want to help facilitate that for them. So get them to write blog posts. For me, I have a local radio gig that every other week I was on the radio. I've stopped doing that because I kept getting too many of my own counseling clients, and I don't want to do counseling anymore. I want to do this type of stuff. So I stopped doing that. But at the time when I did do that, when I was really growing the practice, I would bring a new person with me and we would talk about whatever topic it was. And basically I was sitting there in case they got shy or didn't know what to say. I could jump in to keep the conversation going. And that radio host, they knew me, they trusted that I could keep things going. And so having those media outlets and keeping track of those is really important. So something you can do is every kind of community has those free magazines. So for us, it's the Traverse City Business News. It's the Women's Magazine. We have this thing called the Northern Express. On page 1 or 2, you'll usually see a announcement section or a business news. And it says something like, for each month, we need to receive it by the first business day of the month or by the first business Wednesday of the month or something like that. You can just put it into your calendar and put it on repeat as a reminder, email news@traversityticker.com, and have that go every single month. And then every few months, make sure that you're submitting something about the practice of what you're working on. And that gets you kind of in that habit of marketing the whole practice. D'Amphra says, I currently reside near Flint, where the water crisis is still going on, but desire to relocate towards Oakland County. But would you open 2 offices starting out? I think that the 2 office question makes the most sense when there's a few different situations when it makes sense. So when the current office is really clicking along, and it's like a no-brainer, it doesn't take any effort to keep the current office going, and you're planning to move somewhere, that's when it kind of makes sense. So, but I wouldn't want you paying rent for 2 offices that are empty. I'd want to make sure that, the one that's closer to Flint, that there you optimize that office. And so if you're only in there on Tuesday and Wednesdays, that you rent out those other offices, at least sublease them, if not have 1099s that are working in there for you as you build the other office. I want you to keep your costs down. And then for the new area, I would definitely say you want to start by subleasing from a current clinician so that you can keep your risk low. Unless you really have enough startup capital that you could pay a good 6 months of rent and have that set aside, you're not going to want to jump to a new area and just hope that you're able to get clients. Also, you're going to want to optimize your website, optimize your Google business page, make sure that you're doing things so that you're going to rank not only in the Flint area, but also in Oakland County, so that when someone types in counseling in that area, that hopefully you're ranking as well.
So marketing question, content is king. I'm building my marketing infrastructure and creating events and online content. What is your recommendation when I am ready to distribute the new content that I have created?
When you say events and online content, tell me more about that.
Sure. So I have, let's see here. I have in the works about like 5 different, I have workshop ideas, and then I'm going to have like a little preview or a free online thing for some of those workshop ideas. And then some of it will just be completely just like a short online thing. It's kind of just to get some of my ideas out there and get what I'm all about out there. And some will be actual full events.
So for your workshops, do you picture those being online, or do you picture, are those still going to be like the physical locations?
I don't know if I'm set up for with online stuff yet. I have a Chromebook. I don't have a microphone. I don't have money to right now invest in that. I really want that stuff, and I would eventually like to start a podcast. But like I said, it costs some money to get recording and
a little bit. We can definitely talk about that too. I guess I would want to know, what's your end goal? Like you mentioned, like you want to just get this content out there, but like, what do you hope to achieve through doing all this work?
Bring people in. Well, one, it will provide some income, but it won't be, I wouldn't charge astronomically high prices for like the workshops or anything, but it would bring some income in, but also to get, if I'm targeting dads. And so sometimes dads don't just want to come into counseling. They want like some information about improving their life. So this is kind of a way that I'm thinking outside the box and looking at how do I reach dads. Yeah. And I've had some good outcomes with the workshop I hosted in March, where they're just like, I want to talk more. But I don't think they would have known that not having gone to the workshop.
So the workshop you hosted in March, how many people converted to paying counseling clients?
None.
Okay. So you said that you had some good outcomes. How do you define good outcomes?
Yeah. I was just happy that it happened. I started this stuff. I started doing things back in February. And so I developed that workshop for that. And
how many people came to it?
5.
Okay, cool.
5 guys.
Where did you host it?
My practice, my office. Okay.
So I would say let's not fall in love with the idea of how we do it, which would be, we have a workshop. Let's start with the why of like why we're doing it, and then who we're doing it for, and then we'll work backwards from there. So the why is we want to get more clients in. Okay. So first of all, we want to get people in the room that will become clients. We don't want just any guy. We want guys that actually want to become clients. And so then how do we make that happen? Well, how do most guys make decisions for counseling? In my experience, and I can't speak on like research behind this, but in my experience, it's usually pressure from a loved one or a significant other saying, listen, you need to get counseling. Like you need extra help. And so it may be that you target couples instead of just guys, and then you do some event for couples, and you kind of maybe put it on with another woman that's a therapist, and it's like, she helps women, you help guys. And so then you put on something where, you're saying, when in my work with men, here's like 5 things that I really noticed. And then she's like, well, my work with women, here's some things that I've noticed. So then we say, okay, how do we get 10 couples, so 20 people in the room, so that if 1 or 2 of those convert into counseling, then it's actually worth it. So we want to be able to look at our numbers. So, for every event that you put on, 1 out of 10 people is going to come into counseling with you. That means if you want 1 new client, you need 10 people. If you want 2, you need 20. Like we just then can start to do the math on the return on investment for your time.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
then we say, okay, for this thing to actually be worth it, I need to have 10 dudes end up here and one of them has to convert. And then we need to say, well, how do we then get couples there? Or how do we put on an event where there's something already going on? I would actually move it out of the counseling session. I think this is one thing we talked about with Kelly, in regards to whether it's a church or a library or a gym or a yoga studio, finding a place that already has a built-in audience. I really wouldn't focus on making money off of the event. I think when you actually look at, if one guy comes 8 times and pays $100 per session, that client's worth $800. And so for you to, have one person that says, I'm not going to come because there's a $20 cover, you're losing $800 for $20. Like, I'd rather have a bunch of people come for free, and try to just go for the numbers. Then we can, do that every single month, just repeat the same, kind of activity, make it as simple as possible. Because what I hear you saying is all these different things, this infrastructure, like, no, let's just make it simple. Put on one event that you do every month, do it at the same place with the same, partner therapist. Maybe you have a different Q&A. Focus on making sure that it works well and that it's converting. And then if those people say, man, we would love an e-course, we would love an online community, we would love a men's group, you can then listen to the audience and have the audience direct where your next products are.
That will be my next thing. I want to start a men's group.
So again, I would wait for your audience to say, we want a men's group. I mean, so, they come to an event like that and then they come into counseling and they're like, man, that was so awesome, that event that you put on once a month that's free. But like, I want to have a guys group that, we do some sort of adventure, but we talk deeper and, maybe it's not as therapeutic. Maybe it's just like kind of holistic guys or whatever. That then becomes something that is more compelling and gets people into the practice. Kelly says, I live in a county on the outskirts of a more populated city where I currently am working in my full-time job. It's not a huge commute, but when I go into private practice, my hope and desire is to be closer to home and to be an option for the outlying community, if I can talk, that lacks therapists. However, my worry is that I may not get full, and also my ideal client is probably more in the city than in the county. Any thoughts when having these conflicting thoughts when it comes to location? Do you hate the commute? Is that why you want it out there, or is it just to have it be close to home when you do it? Or tell me more about that.
I wouldn't say I hate it. However, it is cumbersome when I have 2 young kids. And so if school calls and they're sick, I have to go get them. It just becomes a little tiring. They've got soccer practice. It's a hard commute to pick them up and get to soccer practice in time. So it's like life logistics.
Yeah. So life flexibility, you want that option more.
Yeah, exactly.
And is that area, I mean, like there's communities where they're just sleeper communities. Like there's not much downtown. There's not much like restaurants or connection. And then there's other ones on the outskirts that have more of that. Like, is yours more of a sleeper community, or does it have a little bit more like of a downtown kind of area?
Yeah. I wouldn't call a downtown. However, I would call it a developing. So I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia, and people expand outside of Charlottesville into these outlying communities. And there's like a government contractor business that's kind of in my area. And so a lot of people do move to the area for that. So there's definitely folks there. I find myself connecting more with the people in the city. I tend to be just more liberal, and the outlying community has definitely got a lot more rural conservative. And so it's not awful, and I connect with people regardless. But if I just, were to choose my ideal, I'd probably be in the city where I am now. Yeah.
So I think there's a couple things. So people will drive if they think that you're good. So I would start with that, as long as it's, how long does it take to get from the city to where you're at?
Like 25 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Most people would do that, but you're not going to get the lunch crowd that wants to come, so 11 till 1 might be a little bit harder to fill, which for a family is tough because you're going to, if people are commuting, they're leaving work at 5, do you want to have mostly evenings versus if you're in the city, even though the commute thing, is going to be, harder, you're probably going to be able to fill up daytime hours a lot better. And so it may be that you say, if I'm going to be in the city, I'm going to have very specific times. And like, if things come up, whether it's, a partner or, somebody else that can help you with the kids situation, it may just be like, these are the days I work. I can't leave during these days. I definitely don't want to see you going back and forth multiple times through a day. Like, that's just a waste of your time and energy.
It is, yeah.
So I guess it kind of depends on what kind of schedule you want to develop, and if you think there's a market for people like during the day as well in the evenings, because a lot of people will say, well, there's a market for seeing kids, but it's like, yeah, but they can't get there till 3:30 or 4, and then to fill up a caseload, you've got to work several evenings a week. And if you want to do that, awesome, but most people don't want to do that. And so I would really look at, well, okay, so if you're gonna stay out in the outlying county, are there stay-at-home moms or people that have part-time work that you could focus a lot of your efforts on? I would really try to pick an ideal client that you enjoy, but also one that is going to be that's around that area during the day. Really, you've got to just kind of promote your value, promote locally. I mean, maybe you'll be known as the progressive therapist and all the, if 15 people, I mean, it doesn't take that many to have a full caseload. If 15 people are just like, man, I love it. It's like a city girl is here in our county. This is great. I would just focus on that as your main specialty anyway. Like, don't cater to people that aren't your ideal clients.